Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Saturday, March 14th. Happy Pi Day 2020. And today we're going to be discussing the 2020 Democratic primary if it started to trend the same way that the 2016 Democratic primaries did. So essentially, we would be taking all of the remaining states and just apply the 2016 numbers, with Bernie Sanders, of course, representing himself, Bernie Sanders from 2016, and then taking Hillary Clinton's votes and giving them to Joe Biden, pretty much equating them together because it is now a two-person race, as many of you know, and pretty much we're just going to go ahead and look at the percentages and see what happens. So in other news, Georgia and Louisiana have both postponed their primaries into May for Georgia and June for Louisiana, in case you're voting in either of those states. The Georgia primary was supposed to be coming up on March 24th, and the Louisiana primary was supposed to be coming up on April 4th. Both of them have been pushed back a couple of months. So that may not be the best news for Joe Biden, considering he was expecting a very large victory in both of them. But obviously, public health is way more important than any politician's agenda. Debatable, but I guess that's just how the public officials have decided to move the states. So just taking a look at the, I guess, remaining states, there's 2,700 delegates. I believe you need 1,991 in order to win the nomination. Or something around that. I could actually Google it right now. But yeah, just looking at how many delegates you need to win. 1,991. It's not going to be super hard for Joe Biden moving forward if he continues this momentum. But Bernie Sanders, I think, was at a little bit better of a point at this time in the Democratic primary, despite the superdelegates being automatically added to Hillary Clinton's totals. I believe that they were a little bit closer at this point, considering that we're adding in California. That definitely helped Bernie Sanders, but if that was thrown in back there, it probably would have been around the same that we're seeing right now, considering Hillary Clinton did win the state of California. But right now, just moving forward, I just want to see what the map would look like if we actually applied the 2016 numbers. So we're going to start off with, I guess, the way that they did it in terms of chronological order. Georgia used to be grouped in on Super Tuesday, was moved over to March 24th. Don't know why I keep saying May. But that went for a margin of 71.3% for Hillary Clinton. So let's try to get that as close as possible, 71.4 to 28.2% for Bernie Sanders. And that was, obviously a blowout for Hillary Clinton. Just moving over to the state of Florida, there's a lot of these states, so we're going to be doing this for a little bit. 64.4%. Let's see if we can get that. 64.4%. And then 33.3% for Bernie Sanders. And that puts Joe Biden over 1,000 delegates. Bernie Sanders at 828. Joe Biden now 200 ahead, but obviously some of these other states are going to help out Bernie Sanders because he is supposed to win some of them based off the numbers here. 50.5% for was for Hillary Clinton in this. So now for Joe Biden, and then Bernie Sanders gets the rest. He actually got 48.7%, but since it is a two-person ballot at this point, actually, I think it might be a little bit more representative to just not include that, because a lot of these candidates are still included on the primary ballots, and a lot of early voting has already occurred. So I'm actually going to make it identical to what we see in each individual state. So I already covered Georgia. That one should be, I think that one's fine. Yes. Yeah, it's fine. We're going over to Florida. This one should be 64.4. Yeah, 64.4 and 33.3. Oh, they have that exactly. And let's just keep moving on with actual states. Kansas. They actually recently just polled Kansas because this was one of Bernie Sanders' best states. As you can see, he got 66.67% of the vote there, 67.7%. And Hillary Clinton only got a mere 32.3% of the vote. So definitely a better sign for Bernie Sanders if we're looking ahead to some of these states. But if you take a look at polling data, Joe Biden leads in Kansas right now, even though Kansas was one of Bernie Sanders' largest margins of victory, disregarding Vermont completely. In fact, Vermont actually wasn't that big of a margin for Bernie Sanders this time around for whatever reason. I honestly do not know. 71% for Hillary Clinton back then, 23% for Bernie Sanders. And that puts Biden at 1,216 Bernie Sanders at 932, and then the rest of the candidates had already got previously allocated delegates before. Maine was part of the ahead, so was Michigan and Mississippi and Missouri. Those states have already been filled in based off the results that we have right now. Nebraska went to Bernie Sanders with 57% of the vote, so I'm going to go ahead and say 56%, and then it was 43%, so 43.9% for Hillary Clinton there, so that goes to Joe Biden, those delegates. North Carolina's already filled in, and Ohio, this is definitely going to help Joe Biden out. 56.6% of the vote went to, and then the rest, I'm assuming 42.7% went to Bernie Sanders. So let's go ahead and fill that in. So starting to see there's a lot more green on this map than you might expect. There are some states that definitely still need to come in that help out Bernie Sanders, but it's definitely not a pretty map moving forward, regardless of how you draw this. I'll just move that up there. Moving over to Arizona. This was a Hillary Clinton state, even though Bernie Sanders has probably one of his largest chances of winning here compared to other states, but right now, it looks like Joe Biden is going to carry that state. But tomorrow, there is a debate. Make sure you tune in if you can. It is on, I believe, CNN only. I will be watching the debate as well. Obviously, I'm not going to be live streaming it because CNN is very, 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 strict with copyright and everything. So, will not be live streaming that. But I will be going ahead and probably reviewing it the day after, just giving you guys a general idea of what happened, running through those little 5-minute clips, and just telling you guys what actually went down in the debate and who it was helpful for and who was not helpful for. Idaho, that one's already filled in. Utah is also already filled in. Washington, I'm actually not going to touch Washington. In fact, it went up to 43 delegates for Biden and 37 for Sanders, with 95% of precincts reporting. So still a couple delegates left to go. Wisconsin, Bernie Sanders won that one with 56% of the vote. So let's go ahead and give him that. Joe Biden, I'm assuming, would be getting, he only gets 43% of the vote there. Moving over to Wyoming, this was a good area for Bernie Sanders as well, but it wasn't that large of a margin. And that officially fills in the next batch of states. We pretty much have like 20 states left, so we can go ahead and fill in that. New York's definitely going to be a big help for Joe Biden, 58% margin. And Bernie Sanders gets 42%. Pretty much, I think that Joe Biden is actually outperforming what Hillary Clinton did in a lot of these states, which is why he's going to have a very big advantage moving ahead into the remainder of these states. Unfortunately for Bernie Sanders, he's underperforming the way he did, the numbers that he did in 2016. He definitely should be at a much better standing to a point where the Democratic Party can see him as a clear threat. A lot of people are referring to Joe Biden as the presumptive nominee, and generally they should not be doing that, mainly because the nominating process is not over. And, right after Nevada, you could have said that Bernie Sanders was the presumptive nominee. So, it's never the best idea to go ahead and just make a really bold statement like that, especially with so much left of the vote to count. You're seeing how many states I'm actually filling in. But based off the momentum, sure, it looks like Joe Biden definitely has a clear lead over Bernie Sanders, but nothing is ever absolute, especially in a year like this. And by the way, comment down below if you guys are off of school or anything for the coronavirus. I am off until March, 30th. But it's probably going to get extended just because, it's probably going to get worse. But I honestly hope it does not. And this is actually going to be very impactful for the Trump presidency. So I'm going to actually make a couple YouTube videos, and I'm going to be referencing it in my election predictions because it definitely is going to make pretty big of a difference based off the way that Trump is handling this right now. Let's see. So 43.3% for Joe Biden. And then the rest for Bernie Sanders. Oops, one more delegate. And then let's keep going over to Indiana. That was a state that Bernie Sanders surprisingly won. It doesn't look like he's going to win this one again. What's interesting, though, is that I think that Pete Buttigieg might end up running for governor of Indiana or Senate in Indiana. And I don't think he's going to win, but I do think that he's going to come back and run for political office in the future, whatever it might be. That's 1,754 delegates for Biden, 1,399. So as you can see, if the trend continues as it did in 2016, it's not going to be the best news for Bernie Sanders. even though he did do pretty well in 2016, especially against a career politician such as Hillary Clinton, honestly, it's not super, I guess, it's not effective enough to curtail Joe Biden's momentum. And you actually just need to underperform Hillary Clinton in order to lose the nomination, which is very interesting to me because I don't think that's going to happen. Just because Joe Biden is somehow very resilient to a point where he does not, I guess, knock down after certain things happen to him. The only time he actually went below the first place mark was with Bernie Sanders leading for that small period of time leading into Iowa. And now, of course, Joe Biden leads nationwide. Oregon, this is the second to last batch of states, finishing up 55.9% for Bernie Sanders and 42.5% for Joe Biden. So Joe Biden getting very, very close to the magic number of 1,991. We will see as we continue on. 87% for Joe Biden, one, I guess, delegate for Bernie Sanders. Puerto Rico, 59.9. No, 59.4, so we can round down. And Bernie Sanders gets 37.5 for him. Going over California, we already have filled in. Montana, 44. Yes, Sanders getting the rest. I think this is sort of the part of the time period where the country pretty much knew that Hillary Clinton would be the nominee, and the rest of the people weren't actually voting because they thought that it didn't matter at that point because of the superdelegate total, which is like the whole reason for why the entire, I guess, rule change altogether. Biden wins there. So it actually looks like Joe Biden might not actually get that outright number just because of the fact that it's not looking like he's going to get over that number. Only on the sole reason that he's short very narrowly. But if you go ahead and take a look at the superdelegates, we already know who they're going to support. It's pretty much going to be Biden if it comes down this close. So maybe this could actually, yes, this could curtail a lot of the, I don't know what is NI? Is this Northern Mariana Islands? Is it? I think Sanders got 4, Biden got 2. But if this is the final map, turning 2016 into the end of the 2020 Democratic primary, which I don't think is going to happen, mainly because Bernie Sanders has been underperforming a lot of his numbers. But if this does happen, it will lead to a contested convention very narrowly. Joe Biden will be short, give or take, 40 delegates. And looking ahead to the superdelegates, if they do end up voting, all Joe Biden needs is a little bit of a push from some of those superdelegates. And let's see how many exact superdelegates he's going to need in order to win the nomination. He's going to need 37, if this actually works for me. Please. Okay. 37 delegates in order to win the nomination. Even if Bernie Sanders gets, the rest, or I guess comparatively the rest enough, so Joe Biden gets 37 more superdelegates, Joe Biden will win the nomination outright. Obviously, the number is going to change if superdelegates are added into the equation because there's 764 more delegates added in. But if Joe Biden just gets 37 more delegates than Bernie Sanders, then it looks like a done deal for Joe Biden. So pretty much, these superdelegates might end up making or breaking the race if 2016 ends up leading the 2020 Democratic primaries in terms of percentages and Bernie Sanders' enthusiasm. Tomorrow's debate should definitely be a telling sign as to whether or not Bernie Sanders' campaign can be revived. A lot of these pushes by the coronavirus could possibly help Bernie Sanders, but could also help Joe Biden. You never really know. But as of right now, Joe Biden still has the momentum, and it doesn't look super good for Bernie Sanders, even moving ahead with the 2016 map where he did a lot better than he's doing right now. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.